I will introduce the IAG ECS representatives and our future plans and ideas we have for now. And I will give this talk on behalf of the whole IAG ECS representative group. First of all, a very short history of these IAG ECS representative, which was also given in the morning a bit by Daniela. So the IAG created a task force to increase the visibility in the objectives of generation, gender, and geography gaps. And all IUGG associations, except IAG and IASPEI, had ECS representatives in their executive committee until July 2023. So therefore, we then, so the IAG chairs nominated ECS representatives. For now, they are non-voting members. And this is now the IAG ECS group that we established. And for the goal for the future, it would be nice if we get also an ECS representative in the IAG executive committee, and that all ECS representatives in each IAG entity become also voting members. So this is the group that we have now. We have for each commission, we have one representative, as well as for all intercommissions, also for the IAG project group for quantum geodesy, and now me for GGOS. And in addition, as I said, we don't have an official ECS representative in the IAG executive committee. However, Rebecca Steffen, who is also an ECS, and the president of Commission 3 volunteered basically to represent also our ideas in the executive committee. So these are the main goals. So first of all, the raise awareness of geodesy to the general public, and especially our focus will be on getting future students into the field of geodesy. Then encourage the participation of geodesists or scientists working in the field of geodesy to participate more in the IAG and also IUGG, and then increase the visibility and establish role models in these 3Gs, generation, ECS, gender for women, and then the geography mainly in Asia, South Africa, and South America. And first of all, in our first ideas, we will mainly focus on these future students and ECS, since we have there the most experience, or maybe the easiest approaches. So first, as Daniela already said, we started to make sure that every time there is an IAG sponsored meeting, we ask the ECS status during the registration to have just the statistics, how many are really attending. And and then we organize also at least one ECS activity at these meetings, such as a dinner or icebreaker or some other networking event. And for the next year, where we have this big meeting in Rimini of IAG, we want to organize a larger ECS event, such as a one-day or half-day bus tour, for example. And we have also Michaela, who's in close contact with the local organizing committee for that. And ideally, we can also make sure that at these IAG meetings, these bigger ECS events become a requirement for the organizers. So these are the events that we organized this year until now. So first of all, we started at EGU 24 with the ECS corner at the IAG Geodesy reception. Then what Daniela also said, we had at GGHS, we started first of all with getting the statistics. So we had around 35% of the registered attendees were ECS. And we had an icebreaker, city tour, and social gathering at the local club, especially for ECS. And then now this week for the Race Science Team meeting, GGOS Topical meeting, and GGOS Days, we had yesterday ECS Apero. So basically like drinks and finger food sponsored by IAG, GGOS, and GSTM, and was well received. We started at 6 and they didn't want to leave until 9:30, so we had to throw them out. And Yeah, so it was very nice, and around 40 to 50 people attended. Yeah, for the next time, so the next close future, we want to advertise IAG and the membership to it, to ECS, by creating, first of all, a brochure, and maybe even make this content of this brochure into a short movie for the GGOS YouTube channel. Then we would highly recommend again to revive this job listing on the IAG website, maybe after it is updated to a newer design, like aligned to the GGOS website. And yeah, maybe in close communication with the mailing list for Geodesy, which was established. And yeah, which was already written down in the GGOS implementation plan, is that we become a partner of the International Geodetic Student Organization until the end of this year. Yeah, now coming to ideas how we can get more students into the field of geodesy. So what was also written down in the GGOS implementation plan is that we have to communicate geodesy to pupils to attract them as future students. And for that, our ideas would be, first of all, to create outreach material in plain language and in several languages, and use especially a lot of like scientific or science cartoons kind of things, so to make it like also visually attractive. And yeah, and then once we have all this material, it should also be available on the IAG website, so everyone is able to just distribute it whenever they have an opportunity to meet young students. And yeah, so to get more an overview about our ideas, we want to also create a questionnaire to scientists who work now in the field of geodesy. And first of all, of course, what is often asked already is like how geodesists got to know geodesy, so how they came to the study field of geodesy. But also we have a lot of people who don't have a real background in geodesy, but still work in our field. So for them, we want to ask them also what kind of background knowledge in the geodetic topics were they lacking when they joined us, to make it a bit possible to maybe create something like a summer school kind of thing for these people who want to join us, but are not sure if they can have the background, basically. Yeah, in addition, what is also written down in the GGOS implementation plan is like to integrate geodetic concepts into educational curricula and approach educational institutions to promote geodesy. And for that, we had the ideas or gathered ideas that, so first of all, there's already a climate change research initiative where NASA scientists organize research opportunities for educators, research assistants, and high school interns. So that's basically in the US. But in every other country or region, we could also support physics, mathematics, or geography teachers in high school graduation projects or theses. So, for example, in Bavaria, all high school students must write down or have this kind of graduation project or thesis, which is led by a teacher who gives a very broad topic. So, for example, my topic was very broad, just China and India, but you can choose if you do something on China or India, and it can be on geography, but also economics or politics or whatever you want, basically. But of course, they can only support it if they have the background to it. So if we approach locally, like if you're a professor or working at a university, you could approach the physics teachers at your local high schools and ask them if they would be willing or want our support for these kind of projects. And yeah, of course, if you offer also tours through your labs or present interesting projects you're currently working on, would be also good to maybe really approach these high school teachers, because often they are just not aware that you're offering it, and that's the main problem. And yeah, as I said before, it would be also good to generally get involved in summer school programs. There are a lot already available, especially for related fields like astronomy, geography, or oceanography, or research, climate research. And that would be the first step, I think, before we can really establish a GOS school for geodesy. summer school for geodesy. And yeah, but for that, we have actually already like locations. For example, the link there is for a location in Turkey where they have all the rooms basically available to also offer like meals, like full yeah, so that we can basically invite students to come, and we must just provide the real this summer school program, but the facilities would be already available there. And yeah, other than that, there are also these national youth science fairs we can get also involved, because they are mainly focusing on biology and medicine often, because they have just more contact to these in the industry as well as at the universities. Yeah, then finally, there's also a bit on the ideas for raising the awareness of geodesy in for the public. So I'm quite sure a lot of you know these 4 Dummies series, but unfortunately there's no book for geodesy for dummies. But there are already books for geography for dummies, for example, or astrophysics, geology, or GIS. But also in calculus, for example, there's a chapter about how to plot spherical coordinates, or in physics one, how to calculate the period and orbiting radius of a geosynchronous satellite, or big data, obviously. So yeah, I think that could be an idea that we could approach. And yeah, so basically they try to explain to people who have no background at all in this topic from the very beginning, but on a very complex scientific topics. And yeah, finally, I was approached by the Munich Science Communication Lab in the Deutsches Museum. So the Deutsches Museum is a big science museum in Munich. And they have this area in their building, which is called the Science Communication Lab, which is, as the name says, basically really meant to show the current projects or the current research done at universities or research institutes to the common public, basically. And yeah, the Deutsches Museum is very well known. And yeah, they offer the opportunity to do short-term exhibitions of around 2 to 3 months. And they could, of course, support us to make all our content, I'd say, understandable to the non-geodetic community, basically. And yeah, so that was just 2 weeks ago or something. So it's very open still. And yeah, but that would be also an opportunity. And yeah, finally, so there's also ECS within IUGG. So IUGG also now created an ECS committee. For each association, we have one ECS representative. For IAG, it is Athena, who's also in our group for IAG. But it was established, I think, 1 or 2 months ago, so they had no meeting yet. And yeah, in addition, IUGG awarded a grant to promote ECS activities in general. And for that, again, each association has one ECS. And for that, I'm the voice for IAG. So the current ideas for now are that we have on the IUGG website one ECS-specific web page that gives information that could be really relevant, especially for ECS. And yeah, other ideas would be also a monthly newsletter, and also to illustrate how it is how ECS can get involved in the IUGG associations, so such as the working or study group member, or even a chair or co-chair, and what the tasks are and how much work it is, basically. Yeah, so this is my final slide. So as you have seen, we have a lot of ideas and a lot of opportunities. However, the main issue now is that we don't have any budget or funding. So it would be great if we can get somehow a monetary support by IAG or ESA or NASA, for example. But our idea would be also to maybe create a platform for possible sponsors from industry, not only for ECS activities, but geodesy in general. And or yeah, make contact persons available that can be contacted by industry if they have ideas, for example, to support us. And Yeah, and after all, like of course, all these ECS activities take time. So it would be very great if you could all acknowledge the importance of this work and that it is as important as real scientific output in the sense of papers, for example. So see it as an investment into the future of geodesy. And yeah, so we have a lot of ideas and also opportunities, but of course we can, the small group of these ECS, IAG ECS cannot handle all of these work tasks. So it would be very great if you can all join us and help us. Yeah, so please support our activities. So if you have more questions or ideas or you want to get involved, then please contact me or any of the other IAG ECS representatives. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Julia. Are there any questions from the room or online? Yeah.
Yes, there was one question by Paul in the chat. How about the plan to attract African students? This was already answered by Rebecca Steffen. We did in the same way as on other continents, organizing summer schools, but located in Africa. The current problem is that we have to find researchers willing to organize and who have the time.